Yeah, hi, Sai. Nice to meet you in digital form. Hopefully in person someday. How are you doing?
I'm doing great,
Yeah,
Jenna.
nice, nice to connect with you. Thanks for reaching out.
thank you for coming to my show.
Yeah, I saw your show. You've been inviting special people in your show and your channel and podcast. I saw the episode of you and Derek Smith, who also recently spoke and shared knowledge about Azure networking in my user group, Azure user group Sweden.
Awesome.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's
So
pleasure.
yes, I assume that you prepared some questions to talk about, or yeah, for me. But I'm glad to be here. I was actually um, I had my lunch break and I was sharing about Azure fundamentals, Azure cost management tools in a user group as a study hall session in the Philippines. But I'm currently based in Sweden right now on my Friday.
So I thought to tell about you and the work that you're doing to my audience.
Yeah, you want me to share about myself? Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. So my name is Jonah Andersson, and I am actually in Sweden, and I grew up in the Philippines, so I'm also familiar with the Asian culture, Southeast Asia specifically. And I've been living in Sweden for almost 11 years. So that means that I speak multiple languages like Filipino and some local dialects in the Philippines. English as one of my major language, and I also speak Swedish in work or day-to-day conversations. But what I do in my work is I work as a software engineer or slash developer, working with .NET development and Azure, a cloud development. And I also have roles like DevOps engineer slash DevOps lead as a consultant at Forefront Consulting, and I've been in the consulting company for about eight years, more or less. Prior to that, I studied computer science in the Philippines. So to backtrack, my first programming language was actually in Visual Basic. You remember the the two like CTR computers that we had? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm older than you, but back in the days that we didn't have clouds, there was like 3.5 floppy disks and stuff. So that's how I went to school in the Philippines. And I didn't own my own computer, but I finished computer science back in the old days. But moving back to like about 10 years ago or 11 years ago. So when I moved to Sweden, I decided to like because after I finished comsci, I did went to different school, I mean different careers. Like I worked in technical support for American company, travel consultant, SEO consultant, and the reason why I didn't work as a programmer when I was in the Philippines before I moved to Sweden was about what's because when I graduated from ComSci, uh, as the eldest, I mean, my mother died of breast cancer when I supposed to like graduate, and as the eldest child in the family, I have to, you know how it is, you know how it is in our culture. Family culture is very important. So as the eldest family, I was responsible. I took the responsibility of taking care of my sisters and brothers. So instead of aiming of working as a programmer in a different city in the Philippines, I took the best possible work that I had, and that is to work for like call center or tech support. And you know how it is if you're working for American company, you work night shift. So my first job was night shift. But so I had different work. But when I moved to Sweden, I really want to follow my desire or continue my passion for tech, like especially that I studied a bit of programming. So when I moved to Sweden, I studied more programming. I didn't give up. and studied .NET development in Swedish school here, Java development. And now I'm a consultant, learning a lot, applying it in my work, and active in the community as a Microsoft MVP certified trainer and a leader of Azure User Group Sweden. And sometimes I do mentoring, as you notice in my social media. And I just have this passion for learning and sharing. So that's the version of me with a bit of history, who I am. Yeah, I hope you learned a lot, Sai.
Yeah, it's it's so diverse. So tell me about your present work. What you do as a consultant, as a DevOps engineer, as also a developer.
Yeah, sure. So in my work, when you work as a consultant, so you work for a specific consulting company, but you don't really do your actual job as a consultant in the consulting company. You actually do the job that you do to the client of the consulting company, which is might be a big organization or enterprise. So my work is I'm an enterprise software engineer, which means that I in my day to day tasks I do variation of different things, but primarily as a software developer. So I code .NET, so which is a backend programming language with C sharp, and then I can also flex myself to do full stack. So if I need to do something in the front end, but basically my heart is I love coding backend in C sharp, and then I also help with the back. Aside from the backend, I also help with DevOps. You know how it is. Like you have to deliver what we developers have created from development environment into production or tests where the users are actually. So in my job, I'm responsible with the DevOps. So that means that I'm doing code reviews. I'm doing also PRs, setting up Azure pipelines, coding some infrastructure as a code with Terraform to create Azure resources, and also release management, which means that I make sure that what the developers have done in the dev environment are actually getting deployed to QA environment for QA or testers to test, and then those process in the development life cycles or cloud development cycles. So that's what mainly I do. And of course, my job as a consultant, and everyone, if you work with software industry, you know that it's not just about the technical stuff. You also the most major part of it is collaboration and working agile with your team. So I have meetings, collaboration with architects, the other DevOps engineer, developers, and even project leaders or business team. So that's what I do as a consultant. Yes. So it's pretty the competence, if you're gonna you have to be the basics, and then you have to be proactive in solving problems or what you're trying to do in the project.
Your challenges in development.
My challenges,
Yeah.
um are you talking about technical challenges or general challenges?
You as a DevOps engineer.
Yeah, I want to show you my mug. That's advent of code. Do you know this? Here. You saw that? That one. Yeah. So I'm drinking coffee for lunch. Just kidding. So my challenges as in as an coder or DevOps engineer, what I do, I think um I think it's the role that I have right now. Recently, before I got the role as DevOps engineer slash lead, I only do programming. But now that I have to do 50% programming and 50% DevOps stuff, I think the challenges that I have is that I think being able to synchronize both developer team and ops team to kind of like synergize. Like for example, I experienced challenges like a developer was doing a development for a new service, and I, as the DevOps part of my role, needs to set up this Azure service into infrastructure as code, and that needs to be set up first before the actual code gets deployed through the pipelines. So it's like being a DevOps engineer is like kind of like needs to synchronize with the development team at the same time, kind of like one step ahead, because you are automating the Azure resource creation. So that's one of the challenges. Otherwise, I think another major challenges is finding like balance between the different tasks. Because if you are in a developer, you're focused in just developing your tasks within the sprint. But if you're a DevOps, you do make sure that the dev part that's being deployed is okay. The ops part for the delivery, continuous integration and delivery. And then when it comes to test, that it works. And then you have to communicate with everyone. So that's the thing, finding balance and also collaboration. That's also a good way to like it's not a challenge, but it's a thing that is good to know.
Tell me, you as a trainer.
My Microsoft training. Yeah, you read about me. I wasn't prepared actually what questions he will ask me, but I think he does the research already. I'm sure that's why he invited me. Yeah, as a Microsoft certified trainer, which is what I do outside my job. It's like my privilege with Microsoft. So as a certified trainer, I am certified to deliver Azure or Microsoft certifications to either within my company or any organization using the Microsoft training materials. And these training materials actually follow the updated guidelines and study material that everyone can see, for example, in Microsoft Learn or the real actual exam. So I have the option. So instead of a tech trainer have to do the manual work of creating lessons as a Microsoft certified trainer, I have the option to use Microsoft's material for that in accredited learning organization or any company that I desired. It's me that get to choose. So for example, today I really want to contribute to the community in the Philippines. So I spent an hour sharing part of the AC 900, for example. But as a Microsoft certified trainer, you have the certification. I mean, that privilege, of course, but you need yourself to be a certified trainer as well. That means that you have the skills to teach, and also you have passed the certifications that you're teaching about. So, for example, I passed Azure Fundamentals, Azure Developer certification, and DevOps. That means I can train others for it. So that also is an important role. So if you are not certified Azure developer or DevOps engineer, for example, you cannot teach and use the Microsoft training materials, because that will it's the ironic that you're teaching about it, but you never tried it yourself. So so that's the part of my training, tech trainer info about me. Do you have any further questions related to that?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, good. Do you have like certification training yourself? I mean, which stack are you working on, Sai?
I'm preparing for solutions architect.
Ah, great. Me too. I'm actually preparing as my next step. So I recently passed DevOps expert. I'm also planning to take the next expert exam, which is a solution architect. So maybe you and I can be study buddies or help. When is your exam?
I just started my preparation. It takes time.
Ah, oh yeah. When do you want to take it? What is your goal? When is your goal to
Two
take
or
it?
three, three
Uh,
months,
did you
2 3 months.
book did you book it?
No, I didn't book.
Not
I
yet.
course in Udemy, and
Yeah. And Microsoft Learn. I recommend Microsoft Learn. So I'm also preparing for that. I know that if you take the Azure Solution Architect Expert exam, I think you would need to have the prerequisite, which is either I think the recent update it's the Azure Administrator prerequisite. Then you take the 305. So it's the 104 and then prerequisite, and then you have the 305, which is the Azure Solution Architect cert. Yes. So good luck to us then. And whoever comes first then gets to share was the experience. So we should definitely keep in touch on how it goes for both of us. Yeah.
and I'm preparing for AWS Solutions Architect.
Ah, I thought you were preparing for Azure. I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah,
Yeah. So your stack is AWS. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean the cloud. Yeah. But that's good that you welcome me then. You're agnostics in terms of cloud providers. That's great. I think all cloud providers should collaborate, and I think it's actually happening. I mean, when you talk about infrastructure as a code, Terraform, I mean, it's an like automation of resources to the cloud. You can actually use Terraform in all like cloud providers, Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud.
So, what is the difference between DevOps engineer in Azure and AWS or Google GCP?
Uh, Yeah, so that's a general question. Yeah, man. But first, let's see if I understood your question correctly. So, dev versus DevOps. So, developers, we all of us aware, developers are responsible in delivering, coding the logic. So for example, a typical responsibility of a developer is like during the sprint, if the team is working agile, is that it's gonna select like the developer does a task to do and implement it on the code the logic, and then when it's done, the developer collaborate with other dev to do the code review, and then it gets moved to the pipelines, check in and commit it either in a Git, Bitbucket, or Azure repos if they're using Azure DevOps. Otherwise, I mean, in contrary, the DevOps usually are people with experience already in development slash they also have the ability. DevOps engineer is what I'm talking about, because DevOps is also a concept, as you know. So DevOps is a practice between developer and then the IT ops. But I'm talking about the DevOps engineer role part. So DevOps is responsible with SRE and delivering the software into production, and that includes like automation, coding Terraform or infrastructure as code, ARM templates, Bicep, and also setting up the pipelines, release management, and making sure that it gets delivered to the business. So that's the different part. And usually those that works with DevOps understand both concepts in the IT operation, in the big picture of infrastructure. And if the DevOps or the project needs to be deployed in the cloud, so it's also an edge or advantage that there's a knowledge of the cloud provider as well, because part of the responsibility is being able to set up this DevOps operations or infrastructure operations in the cloud like Azure. Yeah, so that answers the first question. Second question was about, you asked about what's the difference between Azure and AWS. I know I'm writing a book about Azure, so I cannot answer so much about the difference, but I know that they are both cloud providers that are top in the industry. And I haven't worked with AWS, so I cannot really compare it. But I believe that there are certain similarities and maybe differences between Azure, AWS, and even other cloud platforms. But I know for sure that they serve the same purpose, and that is to be able to deliver host public cloud to everyone. Wherever you are, to make it easier instead of doing the traditional infrastructure that we have. So cloud is growing and evolving. So that's the reason why I'm also writing about a book about Azure. I think you saw that I share a lot about my book as well.
So I can see you started from very tech support. Today you are a DevOps engineer and also a trainer, and you're doing multiple things.
Yes.
You're also giving training, attending conferences. I can see you're doing so many things.
Yes.
So, tell me about this evolution of yours in technology.
Yeah, you mean my tech story?
Yeah,
Evolution.
evolution, your thought process, how you able to shift yourself from one domain to other domain.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think from the beginning, I already have the desire. I mean, if I go back to when I was little, to be honest, my tech story started. I didn't have a plan to be a programmer, to be honest, when I was starting. I wanted to be civil engineer. You know how it is, civil engineer, architect. You build real buildings, because when I was a little girl, I really like drawing houses and stuff. And I said, this is fun. You get to be creative. I can design what I have. But then when my mother died of breast cancer, and then my parents said, we couldn't send you to college, because just like in other countries in Asia, Philippines, back then in my time, uh, it's not free to go to college, especially good education. So my parents were honest to say, Jonah, we can't send you to this good school to study civil engineering. And then I was a bit sad because I love learning. It's like I like reading. So I remember when I was little girl, after school in high school, I dropped by this like used secondhand store, and they have this like Reader's Digest used magazine, and I just buy it with my a few pesos, because we use Philippine pesos from my school money. And then I would buy it because I love reading. I want to learn what's happening outside my world, like outside Philippines. But to make the long story short, the reason why I ended up in software development and where I am today is that I want to work. My motivation is I want to work with something that helps me grow intellectually as a person, and also grow with my connection to others. And it's interesting to share this with you because I grew up very shy in the Philippines. I'm very like studious little girl, study hard, family only, no party, and never. And then when I decided that I decided one time when I was a teenager, 20s, and I said to myself, I worked hard a lot to study and think about others. Now I want to follow my dreams. So that's why I studied more programming. And then when it comes to public speaking, I was shy, very shy in terms of speaking like this. But there was one time years ago, but here in Sweden, I already was a consultant. I was teaching programming to kids, locally in schools here, 2 schools, part-time. And I realized that when I was teaching programming, block programming in JavaScript, I realized that even the schools here in Sweden are having these challenges of having this diverse interest in terms of programming and IT. And I was the teacher. My students are all boys, and there were a few girls. And I tried to inspire them, but they seems like there's to make the long story short, there's a lack of like female or girls interested in programming or tech. So when I saw that in my reflection, I decided I want to break that by standing up, breaking the barrier of me being scared of public speaking, and I want to be a role model. And that is something I decided just like 5, 6 years ago, or a few years ago. Then I slowly that started speaking in virtual, and then after a few years, that inspired me, my motivation, why I do what I do. I became a Microsoft MVP, certified trainer, and internally at work, I share about Azure, and I use Azure as my, what do you call that? As my cloud provider in parallel with my development skills to accelerate or to learn and develop what I have. And I always believe that knowledge is power, but that power you cannot keep. You have to share that power to others, and you do that by training or sharing others what you have, because I don't think someone is alone. Nobody is an island, as we see in some quotes. Yeah, so that's my motivation. I hope it answered your question or point.
Yeah. So talking with computer and talking with human beings. So which one is easy for you?
Talking with, oh, that's interesting question. I think is that a common question, interview question? Yeah. I think yeah, I think I get your point about talking with computers because I'm a programmer. So I think if I were to choose only one, I think I would choose talking with human beings, because I always believe that every individual is important and has a story to share, regardless if it's an experience that was bad that made them a better person as they are, or if they have challenges, then I have a role to maybe inspire them based on my experience. So I think talking with humans is what I would prefer. But communication is not always easy. It takes two to tango, as they said. So if that other person is not reaching back to you, if you reach out, then that means you did your best in terms of that. So I think a human interaction and communication is what I would prefer and like, because we're anyway tech is about tech, but technology are created by people like us or humans.
So I can see from the starting of your career, you are into all the three communication mediums till now. Uh, you are into text and you are into voice. You have a podcast, I can see, and also uh, uh, you can speak, you can write. So different communication mediums. So how you developed your communication skills in different communicating with different people at the same time, programming languages. Also, you learned this. So tell me about your problem solving ability.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So I always believe that everything that I have actually gained are are the results of my devotion to and time to also learn, because I might be like writing a book right now, a public speaker, going on a stage sharing about a topic that I'm passionate about. People are following me. I can build something with a programming language that I'm passionate about. But I think I wouldn't be where I am right now, or I wouldn't have the skills that I have right now if I didn't commit to learning and spending time with that. And also not giving up, because if I gave up, because to be honest, we all have our journey in life, up and downs, and it's also the same for career, up and downs. So in my career, when I first job, I have to share this to you, because I have it very good right now. I have the achievements that I have, but when I started searching for my first job after school here in Sweden, I actually had the challenge of finding job, because first I have a background that is coming from Asia, and I mean, I'm a woman, and it's not common to have a lady programmer everywhere you go. So I really had to like challenge myself and try not to give up. For example, when I was looking for my first job, I had a contact with the employment agency after school, but they couldn't help me. What I did is that I looked or Googled for all the jobs available in my area, to the point that almost every day I have to send like a job applications, 10 hundreds, I mean 100 of them per day, and then only one or two answers per week, one answers per week, and that can be disappointing if you already like finished school and you really want to work in tech. But I didn't give up. If I gave up, maybe I am not working as a programmer right now. I might be working to a job that I don't like, if you know what I mean. So those three: don't give up, keep learning is important, and follow your dreams, what you want to do in your career. And also, of course, align your career with your life goals, because if you love your job and it's aligned with your like personal goals or motivations, then it doesn't feel so like stressful, right? For example, sharing about Asher in as public speaking or writing, I do that in externally outside work, but I also do it in my work. So it doesn't feel like it's a tedious job if you work on a career role that you get to learn a lot with others.
So, the toughest problem that you solved as a DevOps engineer,
What? Can you please repeat? The
the
volume
toughest
is a bit slow. Yes, go ahead.
the toughest problem that you solved as a DevOps engineer.
The problem that I solved, I mean the hardest?
Yeah, hardest, the toughest one.
I think I don't have one so far. I think maybe because I actually did work already a lot, some parts with DevOps, but I think the if I were to mention at least one, I think when I got a role as a DevOps engineer, and then I have to do some coding with Terraform, and I never written Terraform. I'm familiar with like ARM templates and stuff, but I didn't consider it as a barrier, because I always believe that if you get something, a new task that you're not familiar, it can always be learned. You just need to have that like mindset that you can do it. Because if you have the opposite mindset, negative mindset, oh, I never done Terraform before. I mean, I can do DevOps, but not Terraform. But it's part of your job. If you say no to a challenge, that means you're not learning. So I just do it. I know that it's easy to learn Terraform if you have done programming languages related before. If you know the overall concept, then it's easy to adapt it. Just like when you learn programming. So I learned my first language was Visual Basic, and then I had to rest there for many years because I have to take care of my family and do other jobs like tech support and travel consultant. But when I went back to school again and started programming, this time C sharp, a modern language, like about 10 years ago, then it's easier to to adapt because you knew the basic of logic, like yes or no or something, and then you just use a different syntax. So it's the same way with DevOps engineering. But my point is that don't be scared to take new challenges, even if that technology is something that you've never done before. There are a lot of free resources and there are a lot of mentors that can help you in the community.
So, how your college studies helping you in different jobs that you're doing today?
Yeah, good question. That's if I were to answer, to be honest, I think it kind of like help a bit. But I think what I learned, for example, in computer science, where I have to to learn about binary codes because it was required in school, that is something that I don't really apply so much binary codes because our IDE right now, like C Sharp, it interprets the compiler like interprets that to computer language. But I think the computer science background that I have, the agile system development in .NET and Java development studies that I had, helped me kind of build that building blocks that I need in order to focus on a certain cloud platform or a certain technology or programming language in my area, and that helped me uh, like it helped me get interested into technology. So that's how I think it was very useful. But otherwise, we keep learning every day. I mean, learning never stops in the tech world.
So, tell me about you working in Microsoft products.
Yeah. I think working in Microsoft stack or products is interesting and also fun. It's really like a lot of things to learn. I mean, I don't just use Azure cloud services, but I also speak about it. And I code C sharp, which is the language that that Microsoft has also for .NET. But otherwise, I code other open source as well, like React and other front end development. But I really like that Microsoft has this learning path and learning resources for free for others. And there's a community that actually, like real people working in the technology, sharing about each other and collaborating. So I really like that. So that's the reason why I'm active in the community. And I also started Asher User Group Sweden meetup to organize events and invite speakers to share knowledge because I think knowledge sharing is important. I mean, there are a lot of resources that we can find for free and even paid ones, but you learn actually by doing and learning the experiences of others in certain scenarios or certain topics.
So, what you observe in Microsoft Azure Cloud that most of the people who are into Microsoft Azure Cloud don't observe?
What can you please rephrase the question? The volume is a bit low on your side. Sorry. Go ahead.
So, is there any particular thing that you observe in Microsoft Azure Cloud that people don't observe in it?
That's I think that's a very broad question, but I think if I got your question correctly, um I think in order to understand Azure as a cloud provider, I think because before we backtrack one step, many people think that first, I mean, regardless of whatever cloud provider, many people consider cloud like they are suspicious or very skeptical in moving to cloud because, for example, they think that clouds maybe is not safe, that cloud is expensive. But if we focus to one provider like Azure, I think the common misconception others, I mean, it's not a misconception, it's also the truth that there are a lot of things to learn in Azure. As you see, if you go to Azure website or even if you sign up an account, there are a lot of services that you can do for compute, for networking, for storage. And I think as an Azure developer or certified trainer teaching about this thing and also writing my book, I think the most important thing to focus on is being able to know the fundamentals of Azure and then zoom in into the most important services that you think you need for your business scenario or cloud migration scenario. And that is actually one of the motivations I have why I'm writing my book, because I was in a cloud migration project, and my team at that time wasn't so aware so much about Azure, but I saw the capabilities of that. So this book that I'm writing right now, my first book, my goal is to hopefully enlighten and help give that fundamentals for others, and then help them guide to learning more about it or using it more in their projects.
What do you like most about your job?
What I like most about my job is I get to collaborate with my colleagues, and I mean smart colleagues that are actually willing to work, and I get to work with different colleagues from different time zones. I'm talking about my consulting project right now. And also, I get to work with technology that I'm passionate about, like programming, I mean, .NET and Azure, and helping build something that will help the business or the organization. And also, most of all, I get to learn new things every day. So the more you solve problems, the more you learn actually. So never be scared of solving problems, never be scared of taking challenges and even learning something new at your job. So that's what I love, and I don't think I'm gonna switch to another kind of job that is non-tech. Maybe someday when I get old, I'll retire. I will be writing books about my experience in the tech industry for the past many decades. But that's a long far ago. I'm not too old yet. Yeah.
So how Azure Cloud is helping human to solve their problems?
That's like a Miss Universe question for me. Yes. So, yeah, Asher, this is something you should highlight in the description. Just kidding. Yeah. So Asher is helping solve real life problems globally. I think in so many ways. I mean, global. First is in the businesses. I think I see that many of our enterprises or even our applications today, banks, hospitals, are actually using applications to store data, and most of them are transitioning to the cloud. Some of them are still having challenges, and that's our role as developers or cloud engineers to help them. But I think Azure, I mean, not just specific to Azure, but Azure, other cloud providers are helping businesses to modernize their solution so that it will be easier for the organization themselves, and also for developers, and also those that are RT pros working within the organization. And that means that you're able to, there are technologies or tools that you can use for remote working, collaboration like Teams, SharePoint. And in terms of modern technologies that are coming, so Azure has this different aside from the infrastructure as a service, compute and stuff, networking. There's also quantum technologies within Azure, and there's also machine learning, AI, and data science. So everything that helps in a bigger perspective as well. And I think Azure has this space station as a service as well. To those that are researchers in the space arena, so they have that. So there are, I mean, in the cloud development, we just know this part, but in the bigger perspective, there are enterprise or organization using cloud technologies that makes their life easier. Instead of doing things manual, they can automate it so they can spend time drinking coffee with their family or watching TV or spend quality time with loved ones. So I think it's the purpose is it's aiming to make our life easier and modernize in that way. So yeah, that's my answer. I hope it helps.
So what kind of problems that you want to solve as a DevOps engineer? Why?
What? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What kind of problems that you want to solve as a DevOps engineer, and why?
Um, what kind of yeah, I think I wanna like technical wise. I think my goal is to make sure that what needs to be done get delivered to to the business. At the same time, the development team, the DevOps team, and even the businesses are learning together in the project and also collaborating together. So I think a project should be. I mean, a project can succeed and can fail as well, but I think what the most part, aside from the technical stuff, I think the most interesting part of DevOps or working with DevOps is the collaboration part of it, the soft skills part of it. So I really like that. So it can be a challenge sometimes because developers speak their own language, DevOps speaks their infrastructure language, and then or IT administration language, or and then the business talks differently. So I think the interesting part is getting all those teams collaborate together to meet or deliver a certain goal. So that's what I think it's the most interesting part or challenge in DevOps arena. Technical wise, I think any technical problems can be solved if all of the teams help together, which kind of relates.
So do you have any particular memory that you cannot forget?
Uh, memory. I mean, memory. You mean with my job or like it's pretty broad. Go ahead. Can you elaborate more?
Yeah, in any job that you did that you cannot forget, or the problem that you solved.
Um, I think that's a interesting question. I mean, I'm speaking general right now. So when I was learning more programming when I was in school, you know, when you study programming classes, you have to do like you learn the theory and then you learn mini project for hands-on. But when you started working as a consultant or real life job, I think that's where you really learn. So that is something that I think is memorable in a way that you learn actually by doing it in the real life scenario. So I encourage everyone, those that are studying programming, if you think it's very difficult to pass your exam, just do your best to pass it because it's required for studies, of course. But I think you just have that mindset that you learn by doing, and you're gonna learn the real thing when you started working with real projects, when you start getting your first job or job in tech.
So at last, what do you say to the tech world and to the tech experts or tech beginners or tech people who are into intermediate level for watching and listening to you from anywhere on this planet?
Oh, I'm sorry. What can you repeat the question?
At last, what do you say to the technology people who are watching and listening to you from anywhere on this planet?
Yeah, Planet, like Captain Planet. That's one of the shows I watched when I was young, a cartoon one. Yeah, so those that are watching, listening to me inside today, thank you for listening. Actually, and I hope that our conversation have inspired you. And if you're already following me and saw this, thank you for following me. And I just want to thank you for what you do in the community, and let's collaborate. So just feel free to like contact me if you have some thoughts or opportunity to collaborate. And also, you're welcome to check out my book. I think Sai will share my link tree links. And also, if you're interested to speak in my user group, Asher User Group Sweden, or feel free, or if you want me to do speaking in your group or mentoring something for Asher, feel free to reach out. And I also want to thank you also, Sai, for reaching out. I know that we got connected when I saw that you shared about your talk. I mean, I think I met you through Derek Smith interview. I commented in YouTube, and then you kind of reach out to me, and I'm glad that we are able to find time today in spite of my busy schedule. So that's great. Thank you so much for being patient and for having me today.
Sure. And can you spell your resources or your contact information to my podcast listeners?
Yeah, so basically, I am on Twitter in the ID called CJ Kodare. That's CJK Odare. And then in LinkedIn, you can just search by my name, Jonah Andersson, Jonah, Andersson with double S. And also, you can also visit my website, Jonah Andersson double S dot tech. So yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, I have a link to share to Shai if you need to contact me as well. So maybe he'll add it on the description. Yes.
I'll put your Linktree link on the screen as well as in the description of this video. People who find the
Yes.
video can see it and can see the
Yeah.
work and also can learn from yours.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. And I really appreciate what you're doing in your channel, lifting up the community and tech community like me doing this one. So thank you for spending time in your channel, sharing it to your network as well. So yeah, so keep it up and great job.
Yeah, and that's my last question to you.
Mm?
What you, as a DevOps engineer, as a technical trainer, as also a person who is into Azure group, and also a person who is into technology. So, what is your observation about my work? Have you seen any videos of mine on YouTube?
Yeah, I did. I saw that I was actually, I mean, I did watch your session interview with Derek Smith, a person in the Asher community that I follow as well. And I know that I have a session coming or gonna be published in their community with Dwayne and Derek Smith about Asher back to school. But I've seen your interview with Derek, and I also seen an interview you recently had. So I really like what you do, that you're like adding I saw that you're adding, it's like it's like the TV news thing. Like you add your flag, and then the flag of the person where they're coming from and what they do. And I like the way that you're inviting interesting people to share about themselves, because I think it's important to highlight role models, like what the people that you're interviewing, and that includes myself, and you yourself also is a role model because you're doing it in your free time as well. So like the community. So I think we need more people like us to just keep sharing and to just dare share. Yeah. So yeah, that's my input. So I really look forward to see the recording when you tag me whenever you upload this recording. So I look forward to rewatch it and see how you would design your cover and stuff. But if you need more info, let me know. Yeah, thank you.
And I did masters in software engineering and also
Yeah.
bachelor in data science and engineering. And
Yeah, great.
I'm preparing for AWS solutions architect role. So how these interviews experts like you who are already in the industry and solving problems from different parts of the world, what I'm going to learn with talking people like you and knowing and sharing with my audience, how I'm going to use this knowledge in my work if I work in IT.
Yeah, that's really, I mean, I think the motivation why you have these interviews, I think that's really great, especially with your goals. So I think as I mentioned earlier, you learn by doing, and also you learn also by listening to the experience of others. So this is a great thing you do because I think if you work with I mean, as an architect or DevOps engineer or developer or any IT project, actually, I mean, it's just roles. It's all about learning from people. So I think it's going to help you move forward in your career in IT. And it also helps you understand how it works because in different I mean, in IT industry or IT field, there are different groups. Some are business, some are non-technical, some are technical. If you're a programmer, there's like a really technical coding stuff, advanced, intermediate level. There's also low code, no code. So there's a lot to learn. But the idea that you have that you're interviewing experts from around the world with different roles, different perspective, that would actually improve and help. I mean, not just yourself that are like listening and organizing, but also those that are listening to this show or to your podcast. So I think it's a good idea. So keep it up, and yeah, let me know if you need more collaboration stuff. So I will connect.
Can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Yeah, that's okay. And then your podcast, right? Yeah, it
Ah,
was a podcast. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah, can I?
sure. And then you can tag me on LinkedIn if you have LinkedIn. I have LinkedIn. You have my links and Twitter if you want. Yeah. And then you can describe me as what you think suits my talk or conversation with you. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, and also can I put this audio and video clip on my podcast, website, internet, social media, everywhere with your permission?
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, just feel free to tag me. I'm also in Instagram and everywhere. Yeah, just let me know. Yeah,
Yeah,
sounds good. Sounds good. When are you? I don't need to ask, but thank you so much for having me, Sai.
yeah, it's an honor and it's pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, same here. And I hope we connect more on Twitter. Let's chat more.
Sure. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Bye.